why did all of a sudden did you decide that you need to go to Asher?
Because I was planning to take him out into the country and kill him.
Wait a minute for a second. Don't cross your legs and look at it for a second. Don't let us tell your story. Because this is gonna tell us what happened.
Interrogation Raw has seen its fair share of outrageous and shocking moments in crime and criminal investigation. In this video, the attention of investigators and law enforcement officials is drawn to what is an apparent murder scene.
There was a body of a young male. There were multiple gunshot wounds.
I received a phone call from the dispatch that a body had been found next to a pickup in a ditch on a road that is known as Substation Road.
The scene is a black truck with bloodstains inside and around the vehicle. Like many murder cases, it's a nighttime scene. The undersheriff involved in the investigation is alerted to a potential murder case and decides to sweep the routes likely for the perpetrator to be on.
On the way, I was hearing radio traffic of a possible suspect could be walking down the road north of that. So I kind of decided to check it out on the way, and I came across an individual walking northbound on the highway.
He goes on a patrol in the vicinity of the perpetrated crime, and as fate would have had it, he encounters a certain Jared Murray on the way and arrests him. The suspect is taken in for questioning, where Undersheriff J.T. Palmer does the questioning honors. Suspect interrogations tend to go a certain way, with one person questioning and the suspect fidgeting or trying to dodge direct questions. Like a true professional, the questions are direct and precise.
My name is Undersheriff J.T. Palmer. Me and you met on the side of Highway 177 in about Sing Road at about 3:12 this morning, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what do you remember telling me?
In summation that I'm guilty, yes.
Of what?
Of murder.
The answers, however, are as brazen as they are shocking.
We pulled into the parking lot, then I pulled the weapon on him and demanded that he take me to Asher, Oklahoma, sir.
Okay, and why did all of a sudden did you decide that you need to go to Asher?
Because I was planning to take him out into the country and kill him.
And so I guess at some point, did you decide now was the time?
Yes, sir.
A typical criminal suspect is understandably remorseful sounding or even shaking with fear while recounting the details. It's even common to have criminals sobbing their way through confessions, scared nearly to death at the prospect of spending years in jail. Not so Jared Murray. It's almost like the recital of a national anthem with him. That's not all. His reasons for the murder are even more callous and cold. Although the interrogating undersheriff sounds professional, one can only imagine what is running through his mind as he listens to such outrageous talk. Criminals are supposed to sound contrite and repentant at confessions after all. This criminal is far from that. It's one of the rawest and most shocking interrogations on Interrogation Raw.
You killed a young man.
Yes, sir.
Why did you do it?
If I'm pressed to answer, I'll say it's to prove the strength of my resolve. But that's only if I'm pressed to answer.
I'm not pressing you, I'm just trying to understand.
Then I don't know why.
Okay. So it just
Popped in my head.
It's always a sad affair when a person is gruesomely murdered. However, criminals are often remorseful towards the end. Some even freak out in fear and begin to plead for mercy. Chilling murder confessions are not rare on Interrogation Raw. In another case, a body was found wrapped in a cloth close to a dump site. By the time the investigators got there, it was a case of a mysterious murder and a fast decomposing body.
The first thing you could notice when you got down there was the smell. Decomposition of a human body, once you smell it, is something that you never forget.
Keen investigations continue, with the trail leading to the home of the deceased. Further probing and some suspicious-looking evidence in a trash can lead to a neighbor, Calvin Allison, being invited for questioning. Again, what catches the investigators' attention is Calvin Allison's apparent calm. People generally called in for questioning don't necessarily exude such an air of relaxation. They are often freaking out, shaking in fear, or shell-shocked, and unable to speak clearly. Calvin Allison sports no such discomfort.
I did find it odd during the interview that he was so calm. A lot of times in murder cases, people are immediately curious to why they're there and they want to provide an alibi. I mean, we spent a tremendous amount of time before we even brought up Charles Locke for the most part.
Calvin Allison's initial reaction is as weird as it is outrageous. The questioning continues, with the investigators not shy to display the full range of their knowledge of the situation, backed by real-time evidence, experience in such cases, and the apparent guilt of the suspect.
Charles has a little fetish that a lot of people don't know about. I think Charles come on to you.
No.
And went bad. If that's the case, I can buy that.
That never happened.
Okay. Then man, I'm telling you, I'm all ears. I'll take notes. You tell me.
Finally, he cracks under the strain.
I need to know what happened, Calvin. Otherwise, we're in a bad situation, buddy. I think maybe Charles did something that he wasn't supposed to do. And I think Charles dead because of that.
He tried to kiss me.
Once I saw he started opening up, I packed my stuff up. I knew that Investigator Alvarez had him. There was no need for me to be in there. I felt like just because I had been a little more confrontational, that he might hold back some.
And maybe in his mind, he was trying to come up with an excuse of what happened and why it happened. You know, personally, I don't believe him. And just because Sergeant Barnes kind of gave him that story as an out. And there was more evidence that was developed later on, you know, which obviously made the case a lot stronger.
It takes a lot to hide a crime when experienced investigators are on the trail. In this case, a certain Joe is shot 3 times and, of course, dies.
I'm calling 911. Where's your emergency?
I need an emergency right now. The shooting at the corner store next to CVS.
Okay, do you know if anyone's been hit?
Interrogation's hit. Get an ambulance here now.
We are. Who was hit?
Some young man.
Still there?
He's bleeding to death. Somebody just shot this kid 3 times.
Okay, we got everyone en route to him right now.
This guy's dying. I'm not
Okay.
kidding you. The guy is dying.
The authorities have a lot of work to do here. Initial inquiries narrowed down the suspect to a young, white male with a history of drug dealing and known possession of a firearm. The suspect is called in for questioning. He bluffs, probes, and continues to wear away at the suspect's defenses. The evidence is all overwhelming, and with the tension steadily building up to the climax, the suspect finally cracks. His confession, shocking as it is, simply proves that it was premeditated murder, and that the self-confessed criminal has no remorse for his crime. One wonders how the minds of such criminals work, having the audacity to commit horrific crimes without an ounce of pity for the poor victims. Murder isn't unique to a single gender. Many murder cases involve men, but in this case we see how implicit women can be too. It begins with a certain Taylor Wright, 44, going missing. Her friend, Cassandra, reports the matter to the police, and it's discovered that there's a third friend, Ashley, that's apparently the person last seen with the missing individual.
But when Taylor wouldn't text me back, I texted Ash, and I was like, Ash, like, where are you guys at? Because I thought that they were just going to run to the bank. That's the only thing I knew of that day. Finally, Ash called me, and Ash was like, hey, we're up at my mom's house, which is up in Milton. They own a farm. She was like, you know, Taylor's broke down and cried twice today. I'm like, what is going on?
And her suspicions of Ashley in the middle. Finally, Ashley herself is brought in for questioning. Armed with knowledge of her cell phone records and other evidence, the detectives redouble their efforts. The investigators are close to something major. They've played, pulled, and prodded at her strings, slowly wearing at her defenses until they're frayed thin. She's on the verge, and she knows it. Just before the shark's jaws snap close, she plays her final card.
Give me for a second. Don't cross your legs and look at me for a second. Don't let us tell your story. Because this is going to tell us what happened.
Meanwhile, the search for the missing person continues. The trail leads to Ashley's farm, where a lengthy search ensues. The farm is the last place the investigators know that Ashley was at the time of her friend's mysterious disappearance. And it is here that the final gory residues of the truth are finally revealed. The chase is over, and the mystery is solved. It has taken a while, but eventually the ugly truth has reared its head. It's shocking to see the depth of deceit and greed even among friends. The investigators arrest her, and the whens and hows of the crime are finally deduced.